On today's episode, we're going to talk about triggers. A lot of people here might not know what a trigger is and why they are so important. And that's what this whole episode is going to be about. What a trigger is something that has to happen before you can make your bet, before you can place your bet on the table. It's a way to limit your betting frequency. For example, if there's 75 hands in a Baccarat shoe, and you're going to play a trigger, say the most popular trigger in Baccarat is second bank, you're only going to place your bet on second bank. That's it. So you have to wait for there to be a first bank before you place your bet on second bank. If it hits or it doesn't hit, you can't make a bet after that until a first bank comes. Okay? So if you won, then it has to be broken by a player, then a bank has to come. You might play, say, a roulette. Like, there might be people here that know roulette more than Baccarat. Say you're going to have a trigger that says you're only going to play every fourth red. So 3 reds have to come in a row before you play. You might have a trigger that says when there's 3 reds, you're going to play a black. And you have to wait for that to happen. And this is built into your system. That's what a trigger is. So what a trigger does for you is you don't get sucked into tunnel vision when you're on a losing streak. You're not betting every hand going deeper and deeper. A trigger protects you from something like that, okay? Because the math in these shoes of today with the technology, like I keep explaining, fam, the technology is pushing the math to make it harder for system players, okay? So the way to beat the casino today is to get the math back, to the real odds. We're using a trigger. But just because you use a trigger doesn't mean that you're going to get your math back. The more rare the trigger, the better the math is going to be. Okay? If you have a trigger that only happens once per shoe, that's going to be a very strong trigger. If you have a trigger that happens 20 times per shoe, it's going to be a weak trigger. Okay? A trigger that happens more often, in the long run, it's not going to be profitable to put any system into it. Okay? You have to have a very strong trigger. And the triggers that I'm talking about, what I've noticed in my experience of this in the last 26 years, you need a trigger that happens 6, 7, or less times per shoe. Okay? That's the way you're going to get the strongest math. What I mean by strongest math, you're going to be more likely to get the real odds of the game. The real odds of the game means that for every 3 bets that you make, what I call a round, you have an 88% chance to hit. For player, it's 87.5%. For bank, it's 88.2% that you're going to win 1 out of 3 bets. That's a system we're going to go over. There's stages to it. It's a lot more complex than that. But the way we're playing, the way we get an advantage in this game is to have a strategy that we just have to win 1 out of 3 bets and we're making money, okay? But at the same time, there's different stages and things you have to do, because if you just try and win 1 out of every 3 bets with the same amount, with the same bankroll, that's a break-even system. So you have to add more to the system to bring it into the profit. So The triggers are here to limit your bet frequency so you don't succumb to psychology as well as the pushing of the shoe. When you go on tilt, fam, when a human goes on tilt, they have no control. That takes a lot of practice to have the self-control to stop. When your system says stop, you have to stop. Most people can't. Okay, so you have to practice that. If you are not in your 30s or 40s or above, if you're in your 20s, you're going to have a very tough time with self-control. You have to learn self-control. You're not gonna figure it out overnight, but you have to learn self-control. That's why when I'm in the casino, I don't place any stray bets, fam. No stray bets. I don't put $20 into a slot machine to see what happens. I don't go play roulette because I see a number that I like. I play the system, and that's all I do, okay? You don't want to smoke the casino crack, fam, okay? The more you smoke the casino crack, the more it's going to corrupt your mind to where you're not going to have self-control and you're going to lose the value of money. The whole point of the casino, you get in, you make your money, you get out, okay? You get in with your system, you can't make money every day. You can't make money. No system can make money every day in the casino. But a good system can make money most days in the casino that will outweigh your losses. You're not going to make millions of dollars at the casino. I'm sorry to tell you that, fam. Those days are over. Okay? But you could make something like you could average $7,000 a day at the casino with a $100,000 bankroll. With a $100,000 bankroll, you could average $7,000 a day. You could make 7 units in a day. With my 26 years of experience, you can make 7 units a day on average, okay? Which is about between 1 and 2 units per shoe is what you can make. I want to keep going over these triggers. I think I'm going to show them to you now so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? I want to show you how we write in Baccarat first, fam, okay? We write down. So, okay, the circle is bank, the X is player. It's the same as like black and red, fam, okay? Bank, tie, bank, bank. When it breaks and then a player hits, then you go to the next line until it breaks, okay? So this is how the shoe reads. Bank, tie, bank, bank, player, player, bank, bank, player, player, bank, bank, player, bank, bank, player, 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 okay? This is how we write in Baccarat, all right? This might be called, for some people, the main road. On some screens, this might be called the main road. But this is how we write in Baccarat. This over here is I'm writing 3 down. No matter what happens, I'm just writing 3 down, okay? This is another way to write that I'm going to show you later. But this is about triggers. Okay, fam? This is about triggers. You're waiting for something to happen before you place a bet. For example, on this trigger right here, I'm waiting for 3 banks, and then I'm playing bank. So I have to wait for 3 banks to come in a row first before I place my bet. I can't place another bet after that until it gets broken by a player, and then 3 banks come. That's what limits your bet frequency, so you don't get stuck in a trap somewhere, or you don't get stuck in the psychology of a shoe. You might wait for 3 banks to come and then play player. That's another trigger. There's you could make up hundreds of different types of triggers. And this is how you're going to stay ahead at the casino, fam, is having strong triggers. Like I said, the less frequently a trigger happens, the higher the odds are going to be on that trigger. Second bank happens way too many times in a shoe now, fam. They took away that trigger. Okay? But these are a list. This is a list of some of the most popular triggers that people use. Okay? This other trigger that I'm going to show you is a trigger that I came up with this year, where I call this the 9 box. Okay? I call this the 9 box. I want to see what the first 9 hands do first. Okay? And I write down. So it was bank, 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 player, player, bank, player, player. See? Same thing. The tie, you just don't count. You put it in the same box. Okay? But the tie's not counted, so you don't think about the tie. So there's more banks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's 5 to 4. So for hand 10, 11, and 12, I'm going to play bank. Okay, see that? But I only play to win one hand. Then I wait for the next 9 box. This 9 box says again, the banks are doing better than the player. So play banks. I lose, I lose, I lose, I win. That means I won. Okay? Because I play to win 1 out of 3 bets. So as long as I'm winning 1 out of 3 bets, I'm always making money. Then I wait for the other 9 box to come. This one says player now. I lose, I win. Okay? Then I wait for the other 9 box to form. This says play bank. I win. Next 9 box says play bank. The banks outweigh the players. I win. Okay? This is a trigger that I really like right here. For beginners playing Baccarat, this is a trigger that I would suggest that you play right here. Okay? That's one of my stronger triggers compared to the old school triggers. But every casino is different. You can't use the same trigger at all casinos. Some of these triggers are going to be stronger or weaker at different casinos. Every casino is going to be different, so because they're spitting out different types of algorithms. The way they're sorting the shoes is different at all these other casinos. So you have to study your casinos, the ones that you play. You have to collect data at these casinos, but your data at one casino isn't going to be good for another casino. So you have to take all that into account. Look at Gold Coast, fam. Okay? Look at Gold Coast. All I did is win 28 rounds. Look at how strong my trigger is. I'm supposed to lose. I'm supposed to win 8.8 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I lost there. Okay? But I have a stage 2 that makes it back. Then I go back to stage 1. I'm going to show you this system very soon, fam. But this system allowed me to profit right here 23 units. Okay? I won 27 out of 28 rounds, fam, right here. 27 out of 28 rounds. The next day, I won 20 rounds in a row the next day, fam. Okay? So I'm going to explain this system to you very, very soon, within 2 weeks. Okay? Let me show you another trigger that I use. One of my other obscure triggers, fam, which I call grouping or not, or against grouping. This next trigger that I'm going to show you, I call against grouping. Okay, so if certain casinos are better to go against grouping, And some casinos are better to go with grouping, but you have to study your casino. Like Gold Coast is an against grouping casino. So I wait for grouping to form, which means there's at least a second in two columns in a row. Over here, there's no grouping here. I can't do anything here because the bank didn't come down. So on a shoe like this, I go against grouping because this is Gold Coast. So I wait for this to form, I wait for this to form, and then I wait for this bank. And I'm going to go against it grouping to the player side. Okay? If I lost and the bank hit, I have to wait over here now and go here. You'll see. For example, right here. I'm going to go against grouping right here to the player side because this is grouping. Okay? This is a 2. I call that grouping. I'm going against grouping, but I get 3 chances. With the system I use, I get 3 I have to win 1 out of 3. I lose here because I'm going against grouping. I lose here because I'm going against grouping, but I win here because the grouping didn't come and I was on the player side. Some casinos you're going to play against grouping. Some casinos you're going to play with grouping where you're going to actually play that bank. You play the third one in, okay, or against the third one in. This is one of the strongest triggers that you can have right now is against grouping. This one, these two will be very, very strong. Certain like triggers I'm not going to explain because they're just too valuable right now, but I'm still giving you very strong triggers, fam. Okay? There's another trigger that I'm going to give you. It's when you write another way, when they write in 6 downs. Hold on, I have that over here somewhere. Some systems, some casinos with the new systems that are coming out, with the new screens, they're writing 6 down. Let me see if I can find. I probably threw all that stuff out. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have any writing down like that. But it's basically 6 down. Just like subtract this space right here. It's just they write in 6 down no matter what happens. Okay? So another system I'll have on that 6 down one is second bank across or against second bank across to the player side. So you wait for these 6 hands to be dealt. And then you go to the second row. Okay? And in the second row, you might be playing second bank or against second bank, and you have 3 chances. For this type of system, you want to see how the shoe is playing out first, because it's obvious that this would be an against second bank system you would use here, not second bank. Okay? But you're going across instead of down. So it's more obscure to the casino, and it's harder for them to beat that system. So I would suggest trying to create a trigger that goes in the 6 downs, in the 6 down system across somewhere in here, because the casino's not looking for that. What the casino is looking for is these triggers, is the triggers that the Chinese have been using for the last 20 years. Okay? See the chop system? Oh, bank, player, and then you play bank. So you wait for that to happen first. Okay? These triggers right here, if it's a hand shuffle shoe, this is the strongest trigger right here. If it's a real hand shuffle shoe, the 9th bank. An old Chinese guy taught me this 20 years ago. He's dead today. But this old Chinese guy told me you could put your house on this bet right here. But only if it's a real hand shuffle where they wash the cards, fam. Not the computers that they're using today. All right? Because they'll set you up and go to 8 instead of 9 if it's the computer ones. So you have to be careful. All right? If you have any questions, please put them in the comments, fam. Okay? Hopefully I taught you everything you need to know about triggers right now in Baccarat. And I please like, share, and subscribe. And the next video that I'm going to post within the next 2 weeks is going to be the system. It's going to be a long video all about the system. And there'll be plenty of videos after that about all the variants of the system. Okay, fam? I hope you enjoyed this episode. Peace, fam.